Welcome to We Don't Know Ball, where we like to do seppuku behind the fucking, behind the scenes to just talk about bullshit. Today we are talking about the NFL draft as well as some of the NFL trade rumors that just happened and in the future. Because the draft's in a couple days, we're going to mock out at least the top 10, and then maybe if we get to it, maybe probably top 15, just the lottery picks to see what people need and that kind of stuff, potential trades in the draft and so on and so forth. But before we get to that, Justin and Retro, how are you guys doing?
Dude, I love draft week. I love the draft. It's really fun. Especially if you have a pretty high pick, that's always fun. But I think that this year there's a lot of rumors. There's going to be tons of trades up in the first round, so it should be pretty interesting. Pretty excited.
Yeah, I mean, draft week's interesting. I'm regretting not going last year with it being in Green Bay, being a couple hours for me. I'm regretting not going. But I don't know. Here's the thing: everyone wants to talk about how stacked this draft class is and how good these players are going to be, and this, that, and the other. I'm going to be honest with you. Until the draft class actually shows up and does something insane, I'm done hearing the hype about college kids entering the NFL. Because so-called number one picks absolutely shit the bed when they're supposed to be the main source of their offense. You see late-round guys doing significantly better than first-round guys. So, I don't know. The draft is interesting. I mean, of course we're trying to source talent here, but I'm over whoever is allowed to evaluate these talents. They just don't know what they're doing anymore. So,
Mel Kiper Jr.
Yeah, true. Shout out Mel Kiper.
Yeah.
He gets paid millions of dollars just to be wrong every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
That indeed.
I love it.
I'm also wondering if there's any psychopaths like Cam Scadaboo in this draft. I'm really looking for another one of those because that'd be really cool.
Not to the level because Cam Scadaboo is one of a kind.
Because he is the level, yeah.
Yeah, Cam Scadaboo set the tone very early that he was absolutely insane.
Yeah. But before we get into our mock draft, our top 10 at minimum, a couple of the trades that has happened or projected to happen, because I've seen some like weird discourse with this, and I want to get your guys' opinion, and it's the Dexter Lawrence trade. Dexter Lawrence was traded to the Cincinnati Bengals for, I believe, the 10th pick, and I forget the other pick. I don't know, Retro, if you know that off the top of your head, if you can look that up. But it's essentially Cincinnati finally doing something defensively, getting a tremendous defensive tackle, probably arguably the best in the game, to solidify their run stoppage because Trey Hendrickson's not there anymore. And it's quantifying then their draft position, because they were a lottery pick, to the Giants. And a lot of people are torn about that because it's like that's not equal to each other. I personally disagree, because on this podcast, we've made it a living meme that the Cincinnati Bengals are the 33rd ranked defense in a 32 NFL team. And I believe that you have to start somewhere, right? Regardless of where you are in the draft, a draft pick is a draft pick. And like Justin said, you can only have so much hype. You have to then live to said expectation and like go through it. Dexter Lawrence is a proven commodity, and Cincinnati was able to go and do it. So I personally think Cincinnati, as of now, and probably in the future, I think they won this trade because you solidify your defensive line. You just build around that. But a lot of people disagree because they value draft picks. How do you guys feel about the draft pick versus the proven commodity kind of discourse with Dexter Lawrence in these draft picks?
Yeah, I think this is a very win-win trade. The Bengals obviously get Sexy Dexy, who's 28, turning 29, still got a few good years left for sure. Like you said, I would argue far and away the best nose tackle in the league. Will be very helpful for helping their very struggling defense. And as far as the picks, the Bengals can't draft anyway. So, I mean, why does it matter? I would much rather just have a proven superstar than for the Bengals to go draft another, combine guy like Sonny Styles who gets super overrated and then busts. I just feel like it's I don't know, It's like you draft Shamar Stewart last year, and it's like, great, he had a really good combine. I'm sure that's going to mean a lot. So as far as I'm concerned, the Bengals made a good decision. They said, we can't draft. We know we can't draft. So we're going to go get a proven superstar instead. And I think that's a great idea. On the other hand, the Giants have been pretty good at drafting. They got Cam Scatterbo, Malik Neighbors, Jackson Dart it seems like a pretty decent decision trading up there. I think that the Giants are aware of their draftability. Now they've got 2 picks in the top 10, and it also opens up the ability for the Giants. Hey, maybe the Giants want to keep their higher pick and trade away their lower pick, and maybe they can get something out of that. And obviously, I think Dexter Lawrence wanted to leave anyway. It seems like him and Harbaugh were kind of at odds, and that's just kind of the way it is. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a win-win trade. I think both teams should be happy. I think the biggest winner is Joe Burrow because he actually has somebody on defense who can help. Though that being said, you're kind of just trading Trey Hendrickson for Dexter Lawrence, so I don't really know how much it's going to help, but at least the run-stopping game should be pretty good.
Yeah, I want to shout out Mega Casuals on TikTok. By far one of the funniest football meme pages.
True.
He made a video about this trade, and it was basically the NFC East player or franchises complaining, why would you give the Giants another top 10 pick and da 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 da, and they were complaining, and I kind of have to agree, even though he was doing a skit. Why trade a 10th overall pick for a 28-year-old defensive tackle when you could just go out and draft a defensive tackle? Like, I understand you can say they're shit at drafting or whatever, but you're trading the 10th overall pick, and if the guy even pans out half as good as Dexter, it's a win. Like, you're giving up a 10th round pick for a guy who might have 3 good years in him. Like, your defense already blows. So why not draft for the future and try to actually put something to work? Not to mention, like you said, it's a win-win. Part of me feels like it's a lose-lose. Because the last time the Giants had 2 top 10 picks, they fumbled both defensive players. Neither one of them were good. And I believe it was, oh my God, what's his name? Thibodeau, right? Or however you say his name. He's got the safety. Yeah, Kayvon Thibodeau, and then well, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Me as a Steelers fan, I sound like Joey Tribbiani and Friends. Why, God, why? Let's just add more stacked defensive linemen to our fucking division for our team that is quarterbackless and basically running backless, and Mike McCarthy ran, and oh my God. I don't know. I mean, I'm happy, like you said, I'm happy for Burrow because he's like literally the only player in my division I like outside of my team. And it should be good, but I think it's a waste. I think that there are other things they need help with that they could draft. I think they do need a linebacker, preferably a middle linebacker who can actually command a defense and learn to command a defense. Not to mention, I have a feeling that Joe Burrow, once this contract is up, he's getting the fuck out of there. There's no help for him. It's literally him and Jamar. If he can stay healthy, Jamar's got to go crazy too. They just got what's the running back that they have now? He's got the fun name.
Oh, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know who you're talking
about. Yeah, like they're building pieces on offense, and the offense is fine. But you're trading away the 10th overall pick for a 28-year-old D-tackle who, not to mention, again, we're heavy-set guys, but he is a heavy-set guy that plays D-tackle. And we know what their shelf life is. Shout out BJ Raji. So, like, anything can happen. And who knows? Lawrence might not even fit their defensive scheme. So, like I said, I like the trade. I understand the reason why behind the trade, but at the same time, you could have just drafted somebody.
I understand that point, but with this draft heavily relying on like the prospects that are coming out are basically all edge rushers, And even though Shamar Stewart is, Shamar Stewart, they don't have anybody to basically clog up the lanes and open up the pass rush and being able to consistently get to the quarterback. And Dexter Lawrence this specific year was helping a lot of that New York Giants defensive line, which I believe is one of the best in the NFL. And yes, it's a huge thing to take. Probably I agree with Retro, the best nose tackle, or even when he's a 3 technique, taking him outside of that scheme. But you can then compensate because now you have a whole bunch of athletes that with these draft picks, you can easily just get, whoever falls out. You can get a David Bailey. You can get Ruben Bain. You can get these talented edge rushers to talent off these stuff. So I can agree to an extent, but I do think that you go and just get the proven commodity at the end of the day, because at Cincinnati, again, needed something, and they lost so much on that defense, so they're basically having to go and do something.
Well, and I think the other problem too is that, like, if you were really set on a DT, like that's what you really wanted, for the Bengals, it's like, okay, well, you either go out and get Dexter, or in this draft class, there is like a consensus number 1 nose tackle, which is Caden McDonald out of OSU. But the problem is that he's not even mocked in the top 20. Like, a lot of people are like, yeah, like, this guy's a really, really good nose tackle. But, like, we can't guarantee you that he's going to be, like, super, super, super good when he gets to the league. And it's like, again, if you're the Bengals, like, okay, are we going to take a risk on this guy that's not even mocked? We're talking about, like, a 16-spot reach on this guy? Or are we just going to, like, full send on Dexy?
My other thing with it is, and me playing devil's advocate, because you guys know I actually am a fan of the Giants game right now.
Yeah, sure.
Is it possible that Dexter Lawrence only looked so good this year because he's playing next to Abdul Carter and Brian Burns? Brian Burns being probably the most underrated edge rusher in the league.
I think that it's like Dexter Lawrence. The thing is, yes, I get your point, but I don't think Dexter Lawrence needs anybody. I think that his pure ability to just bull rush people is kind of like independent of the other edge rushers. Because like what edge rushers do, and people that play even in like a 5 tech, for example, is they're just kind of freeing up the outside. They're freeing up the tackles. They're freeing up the edges. They're trying to contain that, right? But what Dexter Lawrence is doing, head on head, nose guard with the center, as Dexter Lawrence is basically just saying, I'm going to dominate you and run directly through you, and there's no one on either side of me that's going to matter when I get to you.
And that's what I was going to say as well, is because for D tackles, I believe, not even just this year, but last year, I believe he's led the NFL in interior pressures, which is so valuable, getting into literally the QB's face under center. And you're going to hate this argument, Justin, but just please walk with me, is that when we were kind of like, when we were talking about the Micah Parsons thing to Green Bay, and we're talking about that gravity, that remember this conversation, and just like the freeing up the edge rushers and that kind of stuff. Dexter does the same thing, but you see it way more tangibly because of the inside and being able to create those pressures. So I agree, Brian Burns is such an underrated pass rusher, but now you're probably still going to be able to see, I don't want to say the same kind of production, but he's still going to be effective, because even though Abdul Carter was very silent, like we said at this point last year, mind you, this is almost like 1 year anniversary. We will talk about that going forward. But if Abdul Carter can be this explosive defensive tackle and just create chaos on that New York defensive line, they basically got Dexter Lawrence's replacement. He's just not as brute. He's just strong and just will dominate centers. So I don't think this as a loss. This is kind of like, okay, we can't do this anymore. If he was at Jaws with Harbaugh, then okay, cool. We have Abdul Carter, who was a lottery pick last year, and he looked good down the stretch for us this past year. Our defensive line is super good. Let's just go forward without him and see what we can do. That's
Well,
just
and I was also gonna say as well, take with a grain of salt, because it's PFF. But PFF had him ranked ninth among 134 qualified interior defensive linemen, which is obviously really good. But one thing that's very interesting is his pass rush grade was seventh among interior defensive linemen. So he's not just going to be good at stopping the run; he's going to be good at being able to get to the passer a little bit as well.
yeah,
And that's something that I value a lot.
yeah. I'm in agreement. The next one that I wanted to talk about, if we're cool moving on,
Mhm.
is it's not official, but like it's official. AJ Brown moving on from the Philadelphia Eagles, and people were talking about this during the season last year when the whole turmoil of the Philly started to come about. Is that the New England Patriots are heavily interested in getting AJ Brown. So, what does that trade end up looking like, and what's the dynamic of Drake May and AJ Brown for this offense coming out of a Super Bowl this past year?
Yeah, I mean, there's like three very quick effects that it's going to have. The first is the Eagles are going to be in deep trouble because Jalen Hurts is not an effective passer as it is, as we all know. You take away AJ Brown from him, and unless the Eagles do trade up high this year and try to take a receiver, they're going to be in trouble. The second instant effect that you're going to see is obviously the NFC East is going to change a little bit because the Eagles without AJ Brown is going to be a lot weaker of a team. Like AJ Brown had a lot of, you mentioned it before, a lot of gravity. AJ Brown was able to draw the best corner every single play. And like I'm not saying Devontae doesn't have a little bit, but nowhere near what AJ has. And so that's going to be that. The third effect is pairing Drake May with AJ Brown. That's disgusting. And I think a lot of people don't understand how disgusting that is. But AJ Brown was able to get Jalen Hurts an All-Pro at quarterback. So imagine what AJ Brown is going to do with a quarterback that can throw 70 yards. I don't. It's going to be scary times in New England. And so I think that's the third effect you'll see. I don't know if that necessarily will happen this upcoming year because their schedule is hell on earth. But after this year, holy cow.
And before we get to Justin, what do you think the trade is going to be? Because that's the interesting part of it. Like, is Robert Kraft and Mike Vrabel just going to send him a bag of chips? Like, there's got to be something.
If I had to guess, I would assume a first and a fourth. That would be my guess.
Okay.
I think because Howie is going to maximize AJ Brown's trade worth. So it's either going to be, I think, a first and a third or a first and a fourth. There's no way they part with him or from him with anything less than a first. And Howie knows his wealth, and so do the Patriots, and they know how bad Drake May needs a receiver. The Eagles are kind of in the driver's seat in these negotiations because, as far as AJ Brown is concerned, the Eagles can just say, okay, well, we'll just give him to somebody else. Like, we don't need to give him to you. And the Patriots are there like, okay, well, like, Drake May desperately needs a receiver. Stephon Diggs is 50, and Booty is not going to be like an oppressive force, right? So they desperately need a true number one for a young quarterback. And I think that because of that, Eagles will maximize, I'll say a first and a fourth or a first and a third.
Okay. Justin, your thoughts?
Well, Retro, you seem to be forgetting also that they have Romeo Dobbs now, so there's that as well. So they have a receiver one that was lost amongst receiver threes in Green Bay. So it'll be interesting to see him actually get work with an actual receiver one in front of him, and he can just kind of complement from the side. Yeah, if everyone thought New England was scary this year and wants to say that their strength of schedule was the reason why they were scary, give Drake May an actual receiver one and watch him work. The kid's good. I mean, he's not the next coming of Tom Brady like he was touted, but he's a phenomenal quarterback. He's going to be a top 10 quarterback in the league for probably his whole career.
Yep.
So, as far as what this trade looks like, I don't know. I think a first and a third isn't enough. I think they're going to have to send one of their younger receivers away. I think it'd probably be Matt Collins.
Matt Collins
I mean,
back to Philly. They love him in Philly.
I know.
They love him in Philly.
I think it's possible. The Patriots would definitely be willing to part with him too, because then what you have is you're going to have your X is going to be AJ. Your Z is probably going to be Booty, because Booty, as much as crap as people give him, and there's some merit. He actually was, I believe, ranked the highest, most efficient deep threat in the league last year. So there is that. So AJ and Booty are going to be a really nasty 1 and 2 as deep threats, and then Romeo Doubs you can put in the slot, and I think Romeo Doubs can work in the slot because, like you said, in Green Bay he just kind of acted like not a gadget, but he was just kind of played everywhere.
He was a gadget.
Yeah, he was just a wide receiver 2 among a bunch of wide receiver 2s.
He was a gadget he was a gadget backing up another gadget in Javon Reed. It was just weird. It was a weird utilization for him.
That's the thing. I think Romeo Doubs, I think he'd be perfectly fine just kind of slotting into the slot. He'd be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. I can work with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm fair with that.
Yeah,
I don't hate the Matt Collins stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, because they wouldn't need him. If you have a three-headed trio in your receiver room of Brown, Booty, and Dobbs, that is a really, really good receiver. Like, that is legit top 10.
That almost rivals Tampa Bay's when they were healthy last year.
Yeah, Evans, Godwin, and
Buka.
Buka.
Yeah, it'll be a scary scene to see what happens. But yeah, I mean,
well, especially in that division, they're going to take the Jets and Dolphins lunch money.
Yeah, you know what? I'm so glad this is happening now, because after the Super Bowl last year, with the way the Eagles fans were acting, and now that they didn't win this year and there's turmoil in the team and everything under the sun, like, I couldn't be happier, because Eagles fans were the most fucking unbearable people when they win. At least Seattle's filled with a bunch of stoners that are just kind of chill. Like, yeah, there's no Seattle fans that are actually throwing it in your face. Like, certain Seattle
Justin.
Certain Seattle fans are waiting to see if a 7-foot alien comes out of concussion protocol or not, just to see if they can win 2 championships in 1 year.
Hey, we're still winning without him right now, so
yeah, it must be nice.
And I think another thing that is going to be a downstream effect of this is I think this really might be Jalen Hurts last year in Philly, because AJ Brown is one of the biggest factors keeping him afloat. They don't want to extend him. Like, they made that perfectly clear. They're like, listen, Jalen, we don't know if we're willing to take that risk. And so now you're taking away his receiver 1, and you're kind of and the thing is, I don't know if the Eagles are going to try to get him another receiver. I almost think they won't, because I think
they're going to draft his replacement.
Yeah, well, and it's possible, but I almost think the Eagles are going to be like, all right, Jalen, here's the deal. Like, we're not going to get you another receiver. We want to see what you can do when your receiving core isn't elite, because if you can't perform, we're going to go get a guy who can. And obviously next year, everybody knows this now because it's become a running thing. Next year's quarterback class is supposed to be loaded. And I know everybody says that every year, but it's true for next year. So
yeah, next year is going to be decent.
I'm so sure.
My thing is, before we actually get to like the lottery picks and stuff, is that even with like Philly situation, I don't see in any way, shape, or form, unless they're able to get something out of the AJ Brown trade, that they're able to just magically move up, that they draft a wide receiver. Because now that I always forget homeboy's name, but he ultimately retired as the offensive line coach, who's just like the offensive line like guru. They're just going to draft offensive linemen. Like Philly, being from Philly, the things that they've always drafted: offensive linemen, defensive linemen in the first round. It's very rare that you get any like the running backs, the safeties. They never draft the linebackers in the first round. They never it's always offensive lineman, defensive lineman, and go from there. They work the trenches and work their way out, which is why they've been very successful. Like work your inside out, which is cool.
That's why they drafted the entire Georgia defense.
And I think that Justin very well could be right in that that they draft his replacement, because a lot of people forget, but Jalen Hurts, when he was drafted, Eagles fans were very confused because they already had the guy for the future in Carson Wentz. and a lot of Eagles fans were shocked when Jalen Hurts was picked. And he ends up becoming Wentz's replacement. So I think it is very possible how
It's
he rose.
insane the Eagles haven't had a franchise quarterback since Donovan McNabb.
Well, they do. He's just not playing. His name is Kyle
No, they
McCord.
don't. No, they don't. No, they don't.
Kyle McCord.
Holy, what a throwback! Shout out Kyle McCord.
Watch that bowl play at my school and in high school. He was actually decent.
You hated on him at your school.
I did because he's ass. But let Philly let Philly like know that because they'll glaze him for his arm and then realize he's actually not that good.
Well, you know what? He was good at Syracuse, so maybe he locks in. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, and Kenny Pickett was good at the University of Pittsburgh. What the fuck are we talking about?
He was. He got outplayed.
I'm so sick of, this guy was good in college. I don't care. This is why. This is the one gripe I have with draft time. I can't stand the draft because the NFL and college football are two completely different fucking games. You can be good in college. You can suck fucking ass at the pro level. Because guess what? You can be the most outstanding player going up against 5 stars. Now you get to the league. Look at what happened to Travis Hunter. Oh, this kid's going to play two-way at the NFL level. This kid's insane. No, the fuck? No. I'm over it. You played against children in college. Good luck. Now you're coming to the big boy level. You got to figure it out against, cool. This defense has one guy who's touted to go top 10 on it. Now you have guys that have been in the league or established. What happens when you play against an all-pro offense? Or you match up against the top receiver. You match up against the top guard. If you match up against somebody at your position, especially somebody like Mendoza, who's a guaranteed number 1 overall pick, you can look phenomenal in college against defenses that are good but not great. What happens when you go up against a Baltimore team that's got an all-pro defense? Period.
Yeah.
When the lights are on you is when it's going to show how you really play.
And I think that's a good segue. Speaking of Mendoza, I guess we can get.
We don't even need to talk about it. He's been the consensus number 1 pick since before he won a Natty.
Yeah. Realistically, he had 41 touchdowns this year, only 6 picks. He led Indiana to a 16-0 record in a Natty. There's not really much you can say about the kid except like what he did basically rewrote college football. I think like the biggest shock was when he took, the mighty Alabama Crimson Tide and just absolutely put belt. Like literally
Alabama. You mean that team that hasn't been good for like 4 years?
Well, and that's the thing is, I think Fernando kind of ushered in the Indiana era with Curt Cignetti. He's just, I think the biggest defining factor about him is his brain. A lot of people love the fact that he's very, very intelligent, and you can clearly tell that he has a lot of knowledge about the game. So, pairing him in the Raiders with Kirk Cousins as his mentor and Tom Brady, too, to be able to mentor him there.
He gets Kirk, Tom Brady, and he gets Kirk Clint Kubiak Kirk.
It's pretty nuts actually. Like he has a very good
We talked about it like I want to say it was 2 months ago when he was just basically the consensus and overall number 1, and we were like, man, we need to find ways for this kid to be comfortable.
Yep.
No better way to do it than show him with Kirk with Kubiak. No better way. Not only do you not have to start right away, but you're getting Kirk, the best version of Kirk, with the coach that gave you the best version of Kirk. So if they draft anyone else that makes this situation comfortable, this man's going to be living luxury.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think it would be... I think that something interesting about him is he clearly has a very high floor, and the reason is because of how smart he is. I think that quarterbacks that have the brain to be able to play at a very high level are typically going to be good even starting out. I don't know if his ceiling is like insane. I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to tell. But I think his floor is at very least like a top 20 quarterback. I think you can probably make that claim. So, where I think he'll be is actually very similar to where Kirk was. I think he'll probably be in that like tier of quarterback.
I don't think that's bad. I would agree.
I think he'll be a better version of Bo Nix.
Fair. Jules, do you have anything to say about it?
I'm personally over the Mendoza train. I don't give a fuck about him.
I really
I don't.
don't. Right, I really don't care.
Okay, well that's fair. So we move on to number 2, the Jets. Now the Jets pick is a little weird because most people have the Jets either taking Arvell Reese out of Ohio State or David Bailey, right? They say, okay, they're gonna go for an elite edge rusher. That's probably what they're gonna do. There have been rumors that they are going to super overpick and try to take Ty Simpson at number 2 overall to be their quarterback, which would be the funniest Jets pick of all time. And it would go down right there with Michael Penix at number 6. But as far as this is concerned, I think they do take Arvell Reese. I think Arvell Reese is a little better than David Bailey, though I think they're both really good. But if they do end up taking Ty Simpson, Lamau, that would be very funny.
I disagree with you. I think that Arvell Reese was a better college player, but I think David Bailey, and it's a lot of what a lot of analysts have said as well, is David Bailey is just more pro-ready than Arvell Reese is.
That's fair.
If they want to do the smart thing and take the more pro-ready guy, because let's be real, their team isn't even pro-ready, they should probably just go for the one that everyone is saying is more league-ready. Arvell Reese comes with the promise of being really good, whereas David Bailey is already projected to be a top, I believe it was a top 20 edge rusher in the league, and he hasn't even played a game yet. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Jules, what do you got?
Last year, by the way.
For Arvell Reese's sake, I'd much rather him be on the Jets because comparatively to the shit show that is the Arizona Cardinals, he'll have structure. Because even though Aaron Glenn is a absolute clown, probably one of the worst defensive head coaches I've seen, he still has some fundamental schemes that are cool. And Arvell Reese would, I think, need structure because Arizona's, again, like a shit show, and we don't even know where everything. They've taken so many athletic freaks over the past several years, and look what they pan out to be. Absolutely fucking nothing. So,
one of them being Marvin Harrison Jr.
Another one being, what's homeboy's name? I always forget. He was a linebacker. But the fact that they obviously the Jets need something. I would agree that Dave Bailey's probably a better pick here. But I think I would probably go for Arvell Reese just because of I think he has a higher ceiling than Dave Bailey, but I'm not mad at either. Whoever's not picked here, the other person's going to be. So it's Arvell Reese and then Dave Bailey.
That's the thing is, I think that Arvell Reese's game will pair better with the duo of him and Josh Sweat. So that's my reason behind him dropping to 3 and going to Arizona is because I think the way that he rushes will pair with Sweat on the opposite side so much better. So, yes, their defensive schemes are not great because their defensive coach is not great, but their secondary is great. And if you have 2 pass rushers that can do the job, they're literally a piece away from being okay on one side of the ball.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So speaking of, we'll move on to the Cardinals.
We are.
But there's some stuff here. So obviously the Cardinals could pick the remainder of David Bailey and Arvell Reese. I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to go with Francis Mauigoa. He's the best offensive tackle in the draft by a country mile. And given that last year they allowed the 5th most sacks in the league, they allowed 59 sacks. I think they're really going to want a guy who can actually block. And I feel like, personally, if I'm judging by what I want the most on a team, I'm not going to start with the defense necessarily. I'm going to start with offensive tackle specifically. That is where the line is built around, and I think Mauigoa is going to be where they go there.
Yeah. I mean, we basically covered the way we feel about it, so let's just move right into the Titans pick. I feel bad for the New York Giants because I really do feel like they thought their guy was going to be Sonny Styles, but I really do think that Tennessee is going to finesse and take Sonny Styles because with Selah there, this dude is just like a player comp like Fred Warner. I think that this guy is NFL ready. He can go and lead a defense if he has to right now, especially getting the opportunity in Tennessee. So This just to me, like, this screams just perfect for them. I mean, their offense isn't going to flourish, but I believe they averaged 28 points conceded per game last year. So I think that a linebacker that can actually help build some structure for this team is exactly what they need.
That's fair. Like I said, since I think that the Cardinals are going to get Maui Goa, I think the Titans will lock in on David Bailey here. I think that if David Bailey is available, it would be easy for them. I think the only argument is maybe they think more in the Carnell Tate area and try to get Cam Ward another really good weapon. But I think personally they go for David Bailey because I think he'll be available, and it would be kind of insane not to. He's absolutely disgusting. Last year he had he led the FBS in sacks. He had 14 and a half sacks. He also had 23 TFLs. As an edge, he's just absolutely disgusting. And Tennessee's already got Jeffrey Simmons, which you can pair with. They brought in John Franklin Myers. That's a good pair. Or a good trio between the three. I just think David Bailey would work really well in the Titans.
Is there any shot that any of these 2, 3, 4 picks kind of just say fuck it and take Jeremiah Love instead?
You took the words right out of my mouth. This is where I have Jeremiah Love. This is where I truly think that even though Saul is a defensive-minded coach, you have, like, Pollard is, 30 plus. You just got Wan'Dale Robinson, so you got legitimate, like, offensive threat for Cam Ward. And with somebody who's aging like that, you need a run game. Yeah. Jeremiah Love is right there. So I think that even though I disagree with it completely, because we saw said running back from last year that Justin's in love with be ineffective for a bad team, I think Tyreek Coleman 2.0. I think this is where they go and get Jeremiah Love. And so you have a nice young trio, an offensive trio that you can revolve your offense around with and just build through the years and just galley up that defense through the oncoming drafts, because Salah I'm a big fan of. But you have to legitimize your core, and I think Jeremiah Love can be that final piece.
I personally don't think any of them are going to do it. I think moving on to the 5th pick, I think if none of these defensive players are here, especially with the trade that just happened with Dexter Lawrence, I think New York takes Jeremiah Love. I think that Cam Scadaboo's reckless, abandoned way of play, I think they have to draft a safer option. Not to mention, Jeremiah Love is a running back, but this man could also become the nastiest gadget in football. Like, he's not just a running back. He can do everything. Like, he can line up in the slot for you if need be. He is phenomenal at the dump-off game, and especially if they're going forward with Jackson Dart as their quarterback, he's going to need a reliable safety valve to be able to play that game. So I personally think if the Giants were smart, they would take this, because even if they turn Jeremiah Love into a third down running back for dump-offs for the year, and he sits behind Scat for a year, or Scat comes back and his ankle really isn't as healthy as everyone thinks it's going to be, then they have a reliable safety valve. So,
yeah, I mean, at the Giants, for me, I've got Sonny Styles. I think that this is where he ends up. I'm not entirely sold on Sonny Styles. I'm not saying he's going to be bad or anything like that, but it's just that the reason why he's shot up in these draft rankings is because of his physical stuff, not because of, like, his game. I have a draft in front of me, and even reading what the mocker has to say about this, he says that Styles' size, instincts, movement ability, and development make him an ideal fit. There's nothing here about, his stats in the FBS, or this is what he did last season. It's all about size and movement and intangible things, which is fine, but it's not necessarily what I want to see. I think it might be a little high for them. I think the Giants might agree. Because the Giants are also stupid, I almost think they might trade off this pick and give it to the Chiefs. And the Chiefs try to get themselves a guy like Jeremiah Love or Carnell Tate. But I do think ultimately the Giants will get Sonny Styles. I think that he's a little bit too good of a prospect for them to pass up. I think that's where they'll go.
Yeah, I agree with Retro. This is where I have Sonny Styles because fundamentally that defense needs some type of like play caller. And
Oh,
Retro and I've talked about this before as a Ohio State fan. Like I understand the combine overrating stuff, but I got to see Sonny for numerous years, and he's very. I think he's when he was in college, he was really really good. But when we talk about these guys, like you can only take tape so seriously, and this is what Justin was talking about. Like Sonny Styles, I've been very critical of, um, but I do think if the Giants are trying to change their culture, I think he is a culture setter. I will say that. I would say Sonny Styles provides another athletic freak that the Giants are revolving that defense around of, and I mean I'm not mad at it. It's just that I just don't think there's anybody there that the Giants necessarily need outside of a linebacker per se. So if they don't trade down, Sonny Styles is a Giant.
That's definitely fair.
It's
And I
very
think
fair.
and so we can move on here to the Browns. I think the Browns are in a very good position because, in my opinion, I think all of us still have Carnell Tate on the board, and I think this is where the Browns scoop him up.
Yeah.
Carnell Tate is an OSU receiver, which means instantly he's going to have 1,000 yards, and that's obviously a plus. You're going to pair him with Jerry Jeudy, who's also a very solid receiver. You're going to pair him with Harold Fannin, who is incredible. I don't know how people didn't see that coming last year because he was a third-round pick. I don't know how people didn't tune into the fact that Harold Fannin basically shattered every single tight end record possible in college, and then in the pros he turned out to be really good too. But you pair Carnell Tate with those two guys, and you've got a really good pass game, and you're going to need that because your quarterback competition is between Shadur Sanders and Deshaun Watson. So you really can't get much worse than that, and you probably need some people to carry you. So I think this is a good spot for Carnell Tate. Not a good spot for him because he's on the Browns, but a good spot for them to pick him.
Yeah, well, I don't see it that way. You just said it exactly how I would say it. Your quarterback battle is dog shit. You need someone to protect your said dog shit. So I have the Browns taking Maui Goa. I have them taking him, drafting the lineman to potentially protect their assets. They did just get Titus Howard, I believe his name is, the veteran tackle.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I can also see Cleveland turning Maui Goa into a guard or moving him to the opposite side if need be. So it's just one of those things where they need the offensive line help because they have a promising, and I say promising very loosely, promising young quarterback. They have decent running backs. You just need someone to block for them. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. I think an offensive line pick is the perfect pick for Cleveland right now.
That's fair. I think that's entirely fair. Where are you looking at, Jules?
Cardell.
So,
I'm just going to say this to you, Retro. If you jinx this 1,000 yard shit because he has Shador and Deshaun Watson, I'm blaming you.
Yep.
And
well,
you only.
To be fair, you kind of said it, but you kind of put the cart before the horse because it's like he does have Shador and Deshaun Watson.
Jules, I'll be honest, you'll like where I have Carnell landing. That's all I gotta say.
I kind of feel bad for Carnell because he's probably going to get the Marv treatment. Like that's probably what's about to happen.
Jules, I promise you, it'll make more sense in a second. Let's just get
and so that is where we head to number 7. My boys, the Washington Commanders. Everybody has us picking Jeremiah Love, and I really don't want him because we already have a back and bill that I think is really good, and I really don't think we need to overinvest. So this is what I'll say. I think we're going to pick Jeremiah Love, but if I had the pick, I would definitely do Caleb Downs. I think Caleb Downs is the perfect place for him to end up here. Washington so badly needs people in the secondary. Our secondary is atrocious. If the Bengals have the 33rd ranked defense, we have the 34th ranked secondary. It is absolutely terrible. So I think that I would take Caleb Downs, but I think we will end up taking Jeremiah Love. If you watched him last year, he had 1,300 yards, 18 touchdowns. The biggest thing about him is he had 39 runs of 10 or more more yards. He's a walking breakaway. And I think Washington will kind of fall in love with that. I just don't think we need it necessarily.
If you'd actually like that stat, you guys finished 31st in yards per pass attempt at 7.6.
Yeah, that's about right.
As well
who
as
is the one worse than us?
I don't know, but as well as a yeah. So, right now, I like your idea there, but I actually have Washington picking Mansour Delane out of LSU.
I would take that.
I think he's a more polished secondary player, in my opinion. Just my opinion. I think you said it. You hit the nail on the head. Your secondary fucking blows.
It's terrible.
Your secondary is terrible. And I think that just personally to me, this is the best corner option in the draft because this is also one of the only corners that knows how to play man and zone in the draft. So he will be able to scheme very nicely, especially with Durante. Durante is going to disguise coverages very nicely and let basically Mansour play wherever he wants. So that's my thoughts behind it.
That's fair. Jules, what are you at?
Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
Caleb Downs. I mean, this is to me. This is like the biggest no-brainer for Washington. Caleb Downs is
It feels like Kyle Hamilton 2.0 is what it feels like.
He's Kyle Hamilton 1.0. He's better. He's just better. He's just better.
And my thing is, the reason why I don't think we're going to take him is because we had Kyle Hamilton on the board last time, and we traded down for Jahan Dotson. Now, I know it's a different ownership, so my prayer is that they don't repeat our mistakes, but I see, Justin, if we took Mansour, I'd be okay with that, too. I just don't want Jeremiah Love. We don't need him.
Yeah, I agree. And hopefully Jeremiah Love's off the board at this point.
I don't see Jeremiah Love falling to 7. That's just me.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
There's a lot of people that are convinced the Titans will take him before, but that brings us into the Saints. This is where I think Mansour Delaney falls, because I think it just makes sense. Mansour Delaney played college at LSU. What better place to go than to stay in Louisiana and go to New Orleans? I think that Justin kind of hit the nail on the head. This kid is a monster. He played at LSU, but he started at Virginia Tech. My rival team in college. I got to watch this guy play against our guys, and he was locking down, or he was locking down every receiver he touched. The dude is disgusting. He's an amazing corner. Like Justin said, one thing unique about him is he can play man, and he's also equally good in zone. You can kind of just put him wherever you want. And I think the Saints would love to have that. I think that would be really good for them.
Yeah. Hey, Jules.
I already knew it when you said it.
We'll preserve your 1,000-yard season. This is where I have Carnell Tate going. We're going to pair Tyler Show and Carnell Tate together.
Yeah.
We're going to have the nastiest young duo in football go crazy on a 5-win team.
Shuck season.
So, yeah, I mean, 4 defensive, from what we have touted so far, 4 defensive players gone in the first 7 picks. That has him falling this far down. And I pray to God they do it, because if he doesn't get taken here and he goes to the team that picks next, I'll cry.
Yeah, that's yeah. Jules, who do you think the Saints are going with?
So this is where I disagree with both of you, but this is where I have Balgoa going, because I understand the wanting to pair Chris Olave with another Ohio State wide receiver, but just another good wide receiver coming out of the draft and having a good young core there. But in terms of offensive line ranking, New Orleans just is piss poor. Kevin Banks Jr. is a young tackle that they have that I think if you pair him with another really good tackle coming out of Miami, it solidifies Tyler to be at least something to be safe for the next couple years. So you're not as necessarily worried about it, and you get to see him actually process the field.
Yeah,
but
So I was
Who's trying to
so
call
I guess
you right now? Your phone
yeah, I was gonna
blowing up.
So going into numero 9 because I cannot speak Spanish. The Kansas City Chiefs. So
Nueve is what you were looking for.
yeah, thank you.
God.
So as far as the Chiefs are concerned, I think that they are going to be very, very tempted, and I don't think they'll be able to stop themselves from taking him. Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain is absolutely disgusting. Everybody knows that that's watched him play. He also has tons of off the field issues, which is perfect for their locker room. A bunch of just off the field issues guys. Him and Rashee Rice are probably gonna get along really well. The Chiefs love guys like that. Only problem with Ruben Bain is he has super short arms, but low key you could just move him from edge to playing a 5-tech and it would probably be fine. He could probably deal with that. He's just absolutely disgusting. He's just an amazing edge rusher. I think Spagnuolo would love him. I really think there's no way the Chiefs don't take him.
I don't have to say anything. I also have Ruben Bain here for those exact reasons. They need someone to play opposite side of Karlaftis, and with Chris Jones basically fighting a triple team because nobody else could create pressure last year, adding the next best or last best edge rusher on the list, they'll have to take him unless somebody royally fucks up above it and passes and maybe overreaches on Bain. Then I'll see something different happening. But that's where I have Bain going as well.
For me, this is where I have Delane going because McDuffie just left for the Rams, and they need a corner bad. And this is the best corner prospect coming out. And they need a quarterback 1 now, so go get him and solidify your outside corner to shadow because he can play man and zone like we were talking about, and I think he's really, really talented. So this is where I have Delane. I think this is where KC solidifies another young corner and be able to just make him amazing.
Yeah, God help us if the Kansas City Chiefs get Mansour Delane. But that being said, we are moving into number 10, the New York Giants, who now have the number 10 pick from Cincinnati. This is where I think Caleb Downs goes. I think realistically, this guy, Jules kind of said it before, he's a no-brainer. It has been a long time since we've seen a safety of his caliber. He is extraordinarily smart. His understanding of the game is so much better than like every other player in this draft at his position that it's not even funny. Everybody that's been around Caleb Downs says he's like extremely intelligent, like a genius level intelligence. He's got amazing coverage instincts. He has the ability to he make plays against the pass, true, but he can also make plays against the run and play run support. He can play free safety, strong safety, whatever you really feel like. And John Harbaugh, obviously John Harbaugh would not flinch at having a guy like Kyle Hamilton, right? And I think John Harbaugh would love to have a clone of that. And if he could, he would get him. So I think Caleb Downs is kind of the perfect fit for John Harbaugh because of that. He knows what it's like to play a guy like that, and I think that he would love to have that.
Yeah, Retro, I completely agree. And I want to read, I clipped this out of the article that I was doing the research on. The Ohio State standout can be the Kyle Hamilton or Ed Reed for Harbaugh. He might not fit the same physical profile as Hamilton, 6'4", 220, but there's nothing that Downs at 5'11", 206 can't do that he can't.
Yep.
So I also have Caleb Downs going here for that reason. That is the reason I saved him to come down here, because it's giving Harbaugh a second chance with Kyle Hamilton. That's what it is.
For me, unconventional, I have the Giants moving down 1 spot and Miami moving up. This is where I have Ruben Bain going to Miami. Miami has it, they need, Miami's such a a shitty situation. They need, in my opinion, they need everything. But Ruben Bain, even though I'm not the one that is gonna shit on him because he has short arms, but he has the explosiveness to to compensate for that. And Miami, it needs to build something, and getting an edge rusher here, it solidifies what you would want to go forward with. Basically, this new head coach, just basically new page for the Miami Dolphins. And you solidify that with another freak athlete in Ruben Bain, where I think he could be essentially their new like Cameron Wake. Like I'm high on Ruben Bain, but I just don't think where Ruben lands, I don't think he'll be a giant because, like I said, their defensive line is already stacked. I don't think they need another one, so they'll probably trade down one and give it to Miami.
Yeah, I honestly don't hate that. I like the ball knowledge of going for a trade down. I don't mind that for sure. So
let's go down to 15. I have 15 done, so let's do 15.
I guess we can. I was gonna say we're at 55 minutes, so we can go through these a little quicker. So at number 11, for the Dolphins, I have Spencer Fano. I think that if you're the Dolphins, you got a new regime there, you would love to have an offensive tackle to protect whoever your guy is going to be. And I think it would be a great idea. I think Spencer Fano was dominant at Utah. I think that he has the ability to basically control line. And I think that it would be just a solid pick. If I were the Dolphins, I think this is kind of just an easy one. You don't really have to think too hard about it.
I also have Fano going here, and it was because of Austin Jackson is in the final year of his contract. I was looking at that. They're starting tackle right now. The other thing that's really appealing about Spencer Fano is that he can play tackle or guard, so he can be versatile. So they can move him inside if they're able to land a better tackle in free agency, or if they can find a guard on a cheap deal if they make a move. I like the versatile pick here. Like you said, Retro, they are primarily focusing on winning the battle in the trenches. They just went out and got their new quarterback. They have young weapons on offense. The defense isn't terrible. They just need to start winning the battle in the trenches to give protection to actually have something get done. So I completely agree that an offensive lineman is needed, and I think this is the top guy left after the first 10 picks. So
fair.
For me, because I did the trade down, this is like I have this interchangeable because I have the other offensive linemen because of the like said situations with like both teams would be here with New York and Dallas. So I have these two interchangeable. I'll just speak on them both quickly. Fano, and what's his name out of Penn State? Ione. I forget how to pronounce his last name, but basically I think they go 11, 12 because both teams I think need to solidify.
His first name?
Not at all. Not at all.
Oliva Vega?
Not at all. Cool, whatever Spanish that is. So, anyways, both like New York has a better offensive line than Dallas, but they need to solidify their guards. So I think it's essentially whoever's not there, just like with the David Bailey, Arvell Reese situation, it's like whoever's not going to be there, the next person's going to get. So Fano and Leon are going to be the two that get drafted for New York and Dallas, just to spoil my next pick.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And getting into that, so for Dallas, I think what Dallas should do is draft Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee, because they need corners desperately. I know they are under like the weird assertion that just because your corners sometimes get picks, that means they're good at playing corner. It doesn't. That being said, Jerry Jones is delusional. So I think that what he is going to do instead is he's going to draft a safety because, just in case your corners are, give up these like deep throws, which they will. Jerry's like, all right, well, I guess I'll give him some help over the top. So I have them drafting Dylan Tieneman out of Oregon. Very, very good safety. Not on the level of Caleb Downs, but a very good safety. No question about that. He's really good at run support too. So like if they ever want to move him down in the box for any reason, but really you just need somebody that is going to be there when Bland or one of these guys, Diggs, ends up like letting up their 5th 60-yard touchdown of the year because they tried to like jump a pick and failed miserably, or just got burnt.
Diggs isn't there anymore. Silly goose.
Or not Diggs. I was thinking of Bland. Sorry.
Bland.
But yeah, when Bland,
same but different.
yeah, no, exactly, same thing. So when Bland ends up giving up his like 5th 60-yard touchdown of the year, they're going to need a safety. So,
Sure.
Well, I have Dallas doing the most Dallas thing that Dallas could possibly Dallas. So, obviously they need all this help on the defensive side of the ball, right? But George Pickens is only under contract for 1 more year.
Taking Makai Lemon.
I have the Dallas Cowboys picking Jordan Tyson out of ASU.
Oh.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
It's just the most Cowboy thing to do. Pickens is only promised to be there 1 more year. The CTE could kick in and he could AB off the field. And Dallas is just horrible at drafting, especially defenders. So why not pick a receiver? I think this is where Jordan Tyson goes, and I think him sitting in that room, he's going to hear his name called, and he's going to be like, what? Huh? If Dallas doesn't trade into like the top 7 and get a fucking edge rusher, any sort of defensive player, they're going to fumble and pick a receiver. It's going to happen. It's going to be the funniest thing ever. And if they don't trade up and he gets picked, I know my phone is going to blow up and Jules is going to be like, what type of black magic you do?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And just to reiterate, just the other offensive lineman who is not picked from Fano and Leon for Dallas, because I might be giving him too much credit because common sense and logic with Jerry Jones is fucking far-fetched. So That's my bet.
And this is where I think we are going to get into suspect territory for Mr. Jules Compton. The LA Rams have the number 13 overall pick. And God bless you, Jules. I think what the Rams are going to do is they're going to be looking at their receiving core and they're going to say, Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, you guys are really, really good at football.
Nope.
But there's a problem here. We need a slot. We needed a very elite slot receiver. And if only there was a person out of USC that had 1,100 yards and he had 21 forced missed tackles. Wouldn't that be just a shame? And so the Rams and Sean McVay pick Makai Lemon out of USC. If you pair Makai Lemon with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, I pray for your safety. If this Matthew Stafford season was his MVP year, next year he might throw for 5,200. This 3 receiver core is going to be stupid. It's going to be dumb. And even more so, I think it also provides a little bit of insurance because with what's going on with Puka Nacua, you don't really know like what's happening with him. None of us do. And that's insurance for him. And Devontae Adams, as old as he is, you never know when he's going to kind of hit that drop off, and that's insurance for him. So Makai Lemon kind of all your bases, and the Rams already have an absolutely loaded team, so they don't really need much of anything. So why not just give Stafford another insane receiver weapon?
Yeah, Jules, you might want to put your earmuffs on, dude. Because I also have the Rams taking Makai Lemon. Stafford might have 2 to 3 good years left, maybe. But if Puka comes out of rehab a changed man, with Devontae Adams still having probably the most elite route tree in football, adding this slot weapon, dude.
Yeah, GG's. Yeah.
Good night, bang.
So it's a 14th pick, right? No.
Jules has the Rams.
No.
Jules have the Rams reaching for whoever's projected to be Mr. Irrelevant.
Actually, what's going to happen, guys, is that the 10 minutes is going to fully go up because they're just like so ecstatic for getting Malachi Lemon. Is that they're actually going to forfeit their pick because of the fact that they're just so like overwhelmed. No, this is where I have Malachi Lemon as well, and mind you.
Yeah. He
Just
has
to
Malachi
go on a
Leonard,
rant.
and he hates everything about it.
Yeah, no, I to be honest, I hate the Rams, and I hate Malachi Lemon. He's fucking overrated as fuck, in my opinion. But fitting, very fitting for an overrated fucking team.
I hope he wins Rookie of the Year.
So, and I will say as well, because this actually reminded me, thank you NFL for lowering it from 10 minutes a pick to 8 minutes a pick. Much appreciated. That's actually
It should only be 5.
It should only be 5, but I appreciate that at least they lowered it a little bit. I get because of commercials, you have to do that. But thank you. So we are going to have to wait 8 minutes for Mendoza, but that's okay. Moving on, the Baltimore Ravens. So the Ravens they're pretty loaded across the board, and you know they're missing a number 1 receiver. So I still have Hunter Tyson on the board. So you might be thinking, oh, this is where the Ravens draft Hunter Tyson, but the Ravens are allergic to getting Lamar help. So they're not going to do that. What they're going to do instead is they're going to draft a guard. They're going to draft that guy's name that
Oliver Vega-Ion.
Oliver Vega-Ion. Yeah, that guy. So this is kind of just like a weird thing where everybody kind of thought the Ravens O-line was going to be really good last year because they typically are, and they weren't. They gave up the 12th most sacks in the NFL and 45 sacks given up. So they clearly just need some help. It will be a good addition. Don't get me wrong. Like, this guy has not allowed a sack in 2 seasons. Like, this guy is actually disgusting at all. But the problem is just that obviously he doesn't have a wide receiver 1. But I guess, like, you know, you get enough interior help. Maybe Lamar and Derrick Henry can both rush for 2,000 yards apiece. So I guess there's that.
Yep, I also have Ione going here. This is an absolute no-brainer for Baltimore after having a 37.1 pressure rate last year, which was good for second worst in the NFL. Like you said, protecting your assets in the backfield, especially when you have a running back and a running back that can kind of throw. So, yeah, this is, to me, it's a no-brainer. Their line has gotten weaker and weaker and weaker every year. People can say that their interior linemen are great. They're not. If you add this guy to what they already have, I can see that pressure rate. I can see that pressure rate dropping and them kind of falling in the middle of the pack versus bottom third. Yeah, no, this kid's phenomenal. Penn State, I don't know how you do it. Penn State is becoming the new Iowa of linemen. They're just starting to crank out lineman prospect after lineman prospect. It used to just be, oh, if you wanted a lineman, you just took either Wisconsin or Iowa's front 5 and went to work. So, but yeah, this is where I have him going.
For me, like I already have Leon off the board, so the next guy that I have up is Caden Proctor. This is where I think the Ravens go and get him because of Taylor Linderbaum is now out of the Ravens. I think they have the guard depth to move Emory Jones Jr., I believe his name is, to center. They have flexibility with their interior line, and they just need a blindside protector, and I think Caden Proctor is one of the elite tackles coming out of this draft. So I think they get Caden Proctor here because for at least SEC like offensive line, like Alabama has always produced pretty good tackles. I think Caden Proctor is one of the better tackles that come out of Alabama. So this is where I have the Ravens take Caden Proctor.
Definitely fair. I could 100% see that. And then for the 15th overall pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I have them taking Jermod McCoy. I think that they want a shutdown corner. Benjamin Morrison was pretty he was kind of on. Not a bad idea for them to take Jermod McCoy. Obviously, they have Jamel Dean coming in from the Steelers, and that's helpful. But Jermod McCoy is a true shutdown. I think that is very much going to help. The only worry I have about him is that he tore his ACL, and that's something that you never really know the after effects about until it happens. But with all the modern tech that we have, we're seeing players recover from ACL tears a lot faster and better. So I think it's very possible that he'll recover fine. I think Tampa Bay takes a risk on that. I think if they didn't, I think they'd probably take Jordan Tyson. I still have him on the board. I think that the Bucs would be salivating at a receiving core that has, Godwin, and it's got Tyson, and it's got Ibuka, and you're just loaded with weapons. I think they would love that. But I do think they're going to end up taking McCoy. I think they want a lockdown corner. They do need help on defense because while they have got a really good offense, that defense still kind of needs some help looking off.
Retro, you're going to be so proud of me on this one because there's stats to back it up.
Word.
I have Tampa Bay taking Akeem Mesidor out of Miami.
Yeah.
The Bucks haven't had an edge rusher with double-digit sacks since Shaquille Barrett in 2021, and Mesidor gives them that production. In his final senior season, even though he's 5 years old, had 12.5 sacks, 17.5 tackles for a loss, and 4 forced fumbles.
Yeah, he was
Pairing him to this defense and adding the pressure, even though their secondary isn't great, Tampa Bay needs a pass rusher. Tampa Bay has always had an elite pass rusher. Tampa Bay needs this help on defense. Their receiving room is fine. Yes, they lost fucking Mike Evans, who really wasn't even there last year. So I think the defensive side needs the pickup, and if they can pressure better on the defensive side to force offenses to make mistakes, this is the guy they take.
The fact that Mesidor and Ruben Bain are on the same line is disgusting.
Yep.
Yeah. This is where I have McCoy going for Tampa Bay as well, Retro, because their corners need help, and Antoine Winfield Jr. cannot guard fucking everybody by himself, and that this helps him at least, not have to bear all the responsibility on that back line with the secondary. And McCoy's very underrated coming out of Tennessee. What I've watched from him so far, in the rare tape that I actually have watched for prospects, I'm impressed by him, and I think that he can be a solidified quarterback one for Tampa Bay going into the future for this defense that desperately needs help.
Very fair. So that is our thoughts on the top 15. Obviously, the draft starts in 2 days. So super excited for that. With that being said,
I don't want to keep going.
I don't know. We're already an hour 11 in.
I know.
So that being said, Justin, do you have games?
I do. By the way, Retro, I also have for 16 just for you. I have the Jets taking Omar Cooper Jr.
Yeah, you do. That's a great pick. I have them taking Tyson, but Omar's nasty.
All right. So we got a new game added to the slate today.
Okay.
Keep 2, bench 2, cut 2.
Okay.
Starting quarterback edition.
Okay. Or is it just quarterbacks in the league now?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'd be very careful with how you rate these players, especially on personal narratives.
Starting quarterbacks. Okay.
The first name up is Brock Purdy.
Bench.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. Is that a bench or cut? Yeah, I'm okay with bench.
Bo Nix.
That's borderline for me.
To me, it's borderline keeper bench. I don't know if that's borderline bench or cut for you, but
keeper bench for me. I would probably keep him.
Yeah, I would too. I don't mind that.
Okay. Caleb Williams.
Cut.
Bench.
No, we're not gonna waste a bench spot. We already used a bench spot. If you use another bench spot, that means we only have one keep for like 4 or 5 guys. I feel like we have to make a hard decision somewhere.
There's only 6 names here.
There's 6 names, so.
Oh, well, okay.
So then it's 2, 2, and 2.
Okay, so if that's the case, then let's say we bench him. That means we have 1 keep and 2 cuts. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that.
I am. We're not cutting Caleb Williams because you don't like his complete. It's not moving.
Yes, he's the most inconsistent quarterback in the entire league. Yeah, I'm worried about it. I have him as the 16th best quarterback. He's just mediocre.
Yeah, that's why you would bench him. Because if he's mid, you can bench mid. You have Brock Purdy below him, mind you. And you benched him.
Yeah, we have to make a hard cut somewhere. All right.
Yeah.
We can bench him. We can bench him. We'll see what happens. It's on you if it goes wrong.
Jared Goff.
Ooh, and see, this is where I would just... So, now what, Jules?
Yeah, I'm fine with cutting Goff.
Nasty, because Goff is better than Purdy and Williams, but I guess we're going to have to cut Goff.
Yeah, we're cutting Goff. Just a merchant.
Unreal.
You have 1 cut and 1 keep left. And I have a feeling I know where this is going. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, it's the easiest cut in the world. Yeah,
Retro?
the easiest is
Yeah,
the
it's
easiest
fine.
cut in the world.
Now, if preferably, I would have just kept Hurts and Goff and cut Purdy and Williams. But
So you cut Goff, cut Hurts, you benched Williams and Purdy to keep Bo Nix and Trevor Lawrence.
Moved. Outplayed Josh Allen. Hello?
holy shocked.
Moved.
Oh man, we should have cut Caleb Williams.
All right, back to keep 3 cut 5s.
Okay.
Potential franchise quarterbacks.
Oh.
The first one up is Cam Ward.
I mean, there's a lot to be said for Cam Ward, but I just don't know if like his ones because I don't know if he's shown enough yet. I don't know. Okay, yeah. All right, we'll run that.
Jackson Dart.
Cut.
Yeah, I'm okay with that
The
too.
easiest cut.
I'm okay with that too. I'm all right with that.
Bryce Young.
Keep.
Yeah, the upside is there.
You're keeping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud.
Oh man, that puts us in such. I think CJ's better than Bryce Young is, so I guess.
Jules has officially abandoned his quote-unquote last CJ Stroud believer.
I guess.
I'm off it.
I guess.
I
think
still
CJ
believe, unfortunately. He's going to hurt me, but I believe. Tyler Shell.
Keep. He was this close to being rookie of the year, yeah.
One keep left, 3 names.
Okay, that's fine.
Fernando Mendoza.
Oh, I didn't know you were.
Cut. He hasn't played yet.
Yeah, fair.
That
fair.
Can be your caveat to that one if you.
Yeah,
know.
I like that logic. Yeah. I'm with that.
Malik Willis.
So there's 2 names.
Ruin it.
Left.
Yeah, just ruin it. No, I already know what you want. Do it.
No, I don't know. I'm just saying there's 2 names left. So are you willing to bank on?
It's Malik Willis, or that's what it is.
Yeah, are you willing to bank on Malik Willis, or is there another future quarterback that has like more upside? Is the question.
I feel like I know what the name is, and I'm
Would
not
you
taking
like to
Malik
guess?
over
I'll
the
tell
other
you
name.
if you get the name right.
I feel like I know because
I'll
a
tell
young
you.
star that had high potential. I would probably if you put JJ fucking McCarthy here, I'm going to laugh
He
my
doesn't
ass
have
off.
potential, so that would be illegal. If he did that, he'd be breaking his own rules.
No, it's potential franchise quarterbacks. It's not quarterbacks with potential.
Oh my god. He's gonna be off the Vikings. I don't know, Jules. I don't know.
Trying to think of like other QBs that this could be funny for Justin to push a narrative.
Drake May.
Fair. I mean, I'm fine with cutting Willis if it's Drake May.
I think we actually have to, because if it's Drake May as the last quarterback, then yeah, I think we just have to. I think we have to take that risk. Yeah.
You cut Cam Ward, you cut Jackson Dart, you cut CJ Stroud, you cut Fernando Mendoza, you cut Malik Willis to keep Bryce Young, Tyler Show, and Bo Nix.
I don't mind that, actually. I'm okay with that. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
All right.
I think that was pretty good.
Keep 3, cut 5, hypothetical QB receiver duos.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Both players have to have played for the same team.
Okay.
The first one up is Matt Ryan and Drake London.
That's a really good duo off the bat. That is a good duo. That's a really good duo off the bat. In the grand scheme of the NFL, I don't know if it meets the. Yeah, Jules, I'm kind of with you. I don't know if it meets the. That's a hard. That's a hard cut
Yeah.
for me because I think that's disgusting.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Josh Allen and Stevie Johnson.
Not moved by one game where he torched Richard Sherman. It's fucking cut.
Yeah, that's a cut, bro.
Yep. Justin Herbert and Vincent Jackson.
It's
Ew.
probably a cut, to be honest.
Yeah, Quentin Johnson with hands.
Yeah.
We're cutting?
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
cutting it.
Yeah, that's probably a cut.
Dak and Michael Irvin.
I'll keep. Holy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That would be gross.
Stafford and Amon-Ra.
That probably also a keep, to be honest with you.
Jules?
Mm,
We're talking Lion Stafford, Jules.
yeah, and slot merchant Amon-Ra.
Oh my god. Well, okay, Justin, if we keep this, how many cuts do we have for the one keep?
Two or
You have
three.
one keep left for 3 pairs.
Okay, so if we keep this, we'll have one keep left for 3 pairs. Jules, what are we?
If you want to keep it, that's fine.
If you had to guess, do you think taking the risk would be worth it more?
I'd much rather take the risk.
Okay. Nah, I'm okay with that because I was kind of borderline. I'll take the risk with you.
Cutting?
Yeah.
Brock Purdy and T.O.
That's just him on the Raiders. That's just him on the Raiders. Fuck Brock Purdy.
Oh, T.O. and friends is what you're saying? That's gonna be a cut because of Brock Purdy, not because of T.O.
All right, automatic keeping the last 2. Got it.
All right.
You cut Ryan and London. You cut Allen and Johnson. You cut Herbert and Jackson. You cut Stafford and Amon-Ra. You cut Purdy and T.O. to keep Dak and Irvin, Dan Marino and Brandon Marshall,
That's pretty good.
and McNabb and A.J. Brown.
I don't mind that. I'm
Players.
okay with that.
Clears
Yeah.
Brock fucking fraudy.
I'm okay
Jesus.
with honestly, like Matt Ryan and Drake London and Stafford and Amon-Ra probably both could have made that list, but I'm fine with the pairings. Dan Marino and Brandon Marshall is actually low key really nasty. They could,
Yeah,
they probably would have been low key really good.
I agree.
All right. Our history fact of the day, time of recording, April 21st. Kicking it back to 1977, and this one's just kind of comical because there were no good stats for this day. Like, a lot of Boston Marathon finishes. This one is a baseball one, though. Billy Martin, who was the acting player and manager of the Yankees, it's famously known as Billy's hat trick. Billy Martin pulls the Yankees lineup out of a hat and beats the Blue Jays 8-6.
That is so embarrassing. Oh my goodness gracious. That is rough.
Just another way to fuck with Canada, eh?
If I was a fan of the Jays after that, bro, you wouldn't see me.
Yeah. So yeah.
Nasty.
But yeah, there's like I said, there were probably like 14 Boston Marathon ones. Like apparently, let's see here. 1980 84th Boston Marathon. Bill Rogers wins 3rd straight event and 4th overall title.
Nasty.
He won 3 Boston Marathons in a row. It was kind of nuts.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Well, thank you guys for watching our football pod this week. The draft coming up in a couple of days.
Make sure to tune in to watch your favorite franchise fumble their draft pick.
Yeah, true. And for the Jets to reach all the way up to number 2 to draft Ty Simpson, which would be the funniest moment maybe in draft
Which
history.
they could still get him at 16.
Yeah. Oh, easily. They could get
could
him.
Still get him in the second round. Yeah.
Round.
Oh, holy fuck. You know, before we leave, I will just say, I was reading stuff before we got on this. Seattle is contemplating on moving down with the Jets so the Jets can pick him as the last pick in the first round. That's hilarious. Based. But, again, with that, guys,
Word.
Stop. With that, guys, that was We Don't Know Ball. once next week comes around, we'll talk about the draft compensations, any draft day trades, if the AJ Brown stuff goes down, so on and so forth. Please comment, like our content on TikTok, and comment here on YouTube. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.